Hunting Big with Steve Bartilla. Brought to you by
What we're going to talk about today are creating literal hubs of scraping activities. What we've got behind us here, typical place where people put in food plots. Especially, let's say this leads to a clear cut, leads to a large alfalfa field, cornfield, bean field, something like that. Makes for a nice little staging area. Those whitetails, they don't want to go out onto the that clear cut, they don't want to go out into that ag field, the mature bucks, during legal light, because frankly we've trained them. You come out during legal light, we tend to shoot you. Instead, what they've learned to do in pressure situations is just burn those last 5-10 minutes of daylight back in the timber, doing a little scraping, doing a little rubbing, a little browsing, a little bit of socializing. Those areas that the whitetails do that in, they're referred to as staging areas. I'm just burning a little bit of time here before I go to here, which is really my destination. Because of that, you go 50 yards back off of that food, bring a disc in here, tear this up a little bit, throw some trophy clover down. Man, you got yourself a nice little kill plot. Let's turn that into a staging plot though too. Yeah, that food is good, great. It creates a nice little draw. But at the same time, when I've created something that's good, I ask, can I make it better? When I have something that's better, I ask, can I make it best? If I'm gonna go through this stuff, I wanna get the max benefit I can. We went ahead, we found our stand, we know how we're gonna get there, we got a safe wind, we know how we're gonna get out, and then we built our improvements around it. That's awesome. Now let's take it a step further though. Let's transform this into a staging area / scraping hub of activity. How do we do that? Well, we start by, we already selected our tree stand. 15-20 yards away, let's go ahead and put a licking branch and point it straight back to that stand. Now we've got something that's going to stop the deer, attract them, focus their attention away from us, giving us all day to do that type of stuff at a known shooting distance where the whitetail is paying no attention to us whatsoever. That's a really good thing. But let's take it a step further. How many times have you ran a cam along a situation like this? Okay, there's a scrape right there. You got that cam on that scrape, but 50 yards down, you didn't put a cam on that one. Well, you got all sorts of buck pictures there, and then for whatever reason, you decide to shift that cam 20, 50 yards down to that other scrape. How often do you end up picking up bucks that you didn't have on that other scrape? Very often. That's because a percentage of bucks, in my opinion, based on what I've been able to figure out, they just simply want to have their own stuff. They don't want to share that scrape. Don't get me wrong, that mock scrape gets them all jacked up. So they go over there and they make a scrape right over there, right next to it. What I'm getting at here is if you want to create a scraping hub, yes, that mock scrape adorned with a scrape dripper and either hot, active, or golden scrape in it, beautiful thing. That helps a lot. But at the same time, on that 50-yard long stretch here that you tore up, make sure there's at least a half dozen more licking branches. No, I'm not adorning them with Magnum scrape drippers and scents. I don't want to. I want that one or two that are right around the stand to be jacked. Those are the ones that are within shooting range, pointing right back to that stand. The rest of them, just put that licking branch right there at nose level, nice open area on that staging plot. You do that. Go ahead and put a half dozen. Put 10. You're not going to have too many licking branches. Can you go ahead and put too many mock scrapes in an area? Heck yes, you can. You do not want 50 scent drippers here all kicking out different scents. My goodness, that would mess a deer's head up. They know that's not natural. But if you have one or two and then have a whole bunch of licking branches, believe me, those licking branches are not going to spook deer unless you went ahead and stunk all over them. Use odor control when it comes to this stuff. Always remember, what's a whitetail doing when they're inspecting these scrapes? They're relying on their nose. Scents, That's communication to them, just like we are doing right now. We can't even smell compared to them. So cut your odors before doing these things. Go ahead and use your head, and mock scrapes, you can use them to create staging, scraping hubs of activity. And no, it does not have to be in farm country. No, it does not have to be on your private property. You can do it out on public ground. I do it all the darn time. Final thoughts, brought to you by Huntworth. Mock scrapes are very powerful tools, and what we can do with them is we can go ahead and utilize them to encourage scraping hubs. A situation like this, you go ahead and you tear up 50 yards stretch of it, you put in some trophy clover. After you've selected your stand and you figured out how you're going to get in and out of this and you have a safe wind direction, then you go ahead and you make a mock scrape or two within shooting distance, pointing back to that stand with that scrape dripper and that scent. And then you add a whole bunch of licking branches with nothing but that branch right there, and you're counting on Mr. Big to take it over. So now you know, not only have the food drawing them there, after the food's gone, they're still coming because it is a social hub.